We're still in Module 1. My name's Jean.
My name's Michelle.
Yeah, with good friend Michelle. And we're talking, this module is very much about the theory and practice of teaching prenatal yoga. So I suppose throughout this program, we definitely want to teach you what not to do. And I think for a lot of women who haven't been pregnant, certainly the idea of teaching a prenatal class is pretty scary.
Pretty terrifying.
Yes.
Or if you get someone in your general vinyasa class and they tell you they're early in pregnancy or perhaps later in pregnancy, most often than not, women or the teachers feel that they're not quite qualified or confident that they could actually support and teach the student. Yeah.
So that's where we start with this module with the theory and practice. We want you to know how to integrate pregnant women into your yoga classes so that you're comfortable. And I think the first most important thing to think about, and we'll address this in the slides, is that it's very unlikely that you are ever going to hurt the woman's baby. The worst thing that could happen is she overstretches or does a little bit too much and pulls the muscle. We definitely don't want that for women, but you should also feel reassured that with your experience, you will be able to work with these women. So we start also with the contraindications, so we really want to focus on the things that you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And then we want to focus on the things that we really think you should include. And just briefly, one of those would be optimal fetal positioning.
Optimal fetal positioning would be one of the things that you should encourage women to practice either in yoga or at home and bring it with them in daily life, which we think is very important because they do spend so much time out of a yoga class and later on in pregnancy, that positioning of the baby plays a very critical role in labor and delivery.
Yeah. And so there's some really, as Ashtanga practitioners and people who love vinyasa, we don't want to just be doing restorative yoga when we're pregnant. That's beautiful at some points, but there's also some really creative flows that you can do that are very safe and very simple. And so our favourite thing is a pregnancy sun salute. And what we've found is that this pregnancy sun salute is not just for pregnant women. We've used this sun salute for people with chronic pain, people who are suffering from multiple sclerosis, people with a whole lot of different injuries, because it's a way to learn how to really scale back more dynamic practices, but really find that flow and that presence with the breath. So we'll be talking about how to sequence your classes, optimal fetal positioning. We will also be talking about the pelvic floor, which for women and men actually is really important.
Really critical and important. So I think not a lot of women understand first and foremost where the pelvic floor is and what the function of a pelvic floor is. So we'll guide you through that and help you teach it quite effectively to your students.
Yeah. And pregnancy and birth doesn't mean that there's a lot of women, I think, in their lives who accept a little bit of incontinence as something that is kind of an acceptable outcome after having a baby. We certainly don't believe that. And so we would very much encourage you to learn a lot about the pelvic floor and help women to use it correctly. And you'll also, in this module, get to do a full pregnancy yoga class with Michelle. So we'll model to you exactly how we might use the salutes, the optimal fetal positioning, the breath and mindfulness practice, of course. So enjoy.
Enjoy.